2017, the year in which KTM did revised another great example of value for money motorcycle. A motorcycle that can perform a way better, a way more sharper, and a way more faster compared to any of the rivals that even tries to stand near his territory. And now in 2020, that tiny little monster has few other upgrades, such as a new paint scheme, which provides much more decent look, a new design of exhaust system, which dissipates better heat between your legs and stays much more cooler, a quick shifter, which means now you can upshift and downshift the gear without using the clutch. And also, there are few other class-leading features, such as a TFT display, Bluetooth connectivity, navigation, ride-by-wire, switchable ABS, and whatnot. So let's check out what the real potential of this overwhelming machine has. Until then, keep watching TFS, flying ship. So starting from looks, it is the most subjective thing on this machine. I mean, if you love something which has a futuristic look or stands apart from everything else, then for sure you are gonna love this motorcycle. And the way orange component blends with grey metallic and glossy black gives it a much more decent look compared to its previous variants. Also, the headlight looks amazing and they will not only glow up in the dark automatically, but they will also provide you sufficient amount of light flow in the night. And that's not the only thing which is going to impress you. But what's really impressive over here is the butter smooth and super refined engine which almost has no lag in its power delivery. Also, the gearbox is pretty smooth. And also, the slipper clutch works in very light and linear manner. The sound of the dark is so refined that sometimes it feels like driving a huge electric motor.
Also, the super responsive brakes are being combined with the dual channel ABS. And the fun factor is you can turn off the rear ABS by simply switching on the super motor mode. But what's not good is the ground clearance, due to which we might end up by hitting huge engine bumps and potholes. Also, the balance between the front and rear suspension is not that accurate, and due to which in few scenarios you might feel jerk coming from the rear monoshock. However, you can adjust the preload, but even that thing won't be curing your problem completely.
But all that things doesn't mean that it is one of the best choice to go with, because the ergonomics are not so convincing. Especially sitting posture is neither that aggressive and neither that relaxing. I mean, the handlebar should have been much more on the downward direction, so that you might have got better front end feel and control. Also, the seats are on stiffer side, and thus on longer journey you won't be getting that extra comfort. Then there are just new MRF tires which have been replaced instead of Metzeler's, and thus you won't be getting that traction and stability which you might have felt in the previous variants. Then there is this instrument cluster, where various informations are so tightly packed that reading them while riding can be a bit time consuming thing. And that's because the size of fonts are really tiny. Thus, all of this can be a part of distraction. And yet, if you will manage to read them, then many of the information are not going to be that accurate. For example, the fuel range will directly alter for 10 kilometers. Also, the fuel efficiency on this motorcycle is very low. In fact, so low that it feels like using some sort of 690 and not a 390. Also, the amount of traction and stability won't be sustaining for so long on this motorcycle. Especially after crossing 140, you might start feeling tank slapping, or in a case of minor mishandling, you might start feeling wobbling on this motorcycle. Also, you won't be feeling that much amount of confidence while leaning on this motorcycle. And all of this will happen due to uneven weight and mass distribution, due to which the center of gravity is mostly focused on the front end of the motorcycle and not on the center of the motorcycle. Also, the quick shifter on Duke 390 does not actually work. And that's because KTM has for sure kept each and every other component that is required to use a quick shifter. But somehow they have forgot to use a pressure sensor, due to which this machine just does not know that when you are upshifting and downshifting the gear. And that's why quick shifter is nothing but just a stupid and an incomplete idea over here. Also, the feel and feedback that you might have observed in the older generation of Duke 390 is something that you will not find it over here. So overall, KTM has built a top-notch product in the entire segment, which has been tightly packed with the features and performance. But if you take my opinion, then I don't like this motorcycle because this is pretty much overwhelming. And secondly, this does not complete all the promises that so far KTM makes. However, I will like to take a moment and appreciate the powertrain that these guys are offering. But if you ask that what's my personal choice, then my opinion will be towards the BMW G310R. I mean, even though it has less amount of features and performance, yet that motorcycle is much more meaningful and practical to go with.
So now, listener, until we meet next time, make sure you do like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. Till then, this is TFS signing off. Peace. Love, love.
रे भाई 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 क्या यार भाई कुछ छपरी वेड़े तो बनता है ना बॉस
Put your head on my shoulder.